Now you all know this better than most. Law enforcement knows this better than most. Because if it's an emergency when a child drops out of school, then you and your officers are the first responders. According to a study at the Bush School of Government and Public Service that's located at Texas A&M University, at least 40,000 and perhaps up to 70,000 students in the class of 2012 will drop out before they reach graduation. Now those personal tragedies, playing out tens of thousands of times in homes across Texas, will suck at least $5 billion out of Texas's economy. That total, by the way, includes between $600 million and $1 billion lost to crime and incarceration. The Bush School study predicts that by increasing the graduation rate by just 10 percentage points, we would see at least 7% fewer crimes, 8% fewer violent crimes, and 20% fewer murders and assaults. All told, if we graduated every kid in the class of 2012, there would be at least 19,000 fewer and potentially up to 33,000 fewer crimes just in the state of Texas. Now, such a goal, a perfection of 100% graduation rate, isn't necessarily realistic. I know that. But it's a goal, a serious and appropriate target for us to shoot for and work toward in the midst of an undeniably serious challenge. Unfortunately, Texas is looking in the other direction. Now, counting dropouts, let me say that again, counting dropouts is a tough business. As you may have heard, yesterday we had the governor here, you may have heard that we got a little governor's election going on in Texas right now. It's going to come up in November, which can't get here too soon, I might add. And I think that the debate over the state's dropout rate, and by that I mean what the dropout rate even is, has been a little bit discouraging. I know it must be very discouraging to our preschool teachers, the folks that are teaching our kids that are 3 and 4 years old how to count at all. They got to really be discouraged if the adults can't figure out how to count the dropout rate. As I said, though, the Bush School projects the range of dropouts to be 40,000 to 70,000 students. There's also the 2007 report by the Milton and Rose D. Friedman Foundation. This report estimates that more than 130,000 Texas students entering school as 9th graders fail to graduate with their classes. And we know that Texas ranks 50th in the nation in the percentage of adults aged 25 or older without high school diplomas. 50th. One of the rosiest pictures, I'm sorry to say, might come from our current state budget. If that budget, the one that took effect last September, hits its mark, if the budget meets its goals, the graduation rate will drop again in 2010 and 2011, and we can expect a 16% dropout rate each year. Well, let's assume that's right. That means our budget, a moral document that unequivocally declares our priorities as a people, is shooting to simply limit the attrition in our schools and communities to no more than 45,000 kids per year. That means that if the state achieves everything it hopes to in the budget, 90,000 kids, nearly the combined student population of the University of Texas at Austin and Texas A&M University, will try to make it in this world without a high school diploma. This is a terrifying vision for our economy. The Friedman Foundation report warns that our dropout problem costs the state $377 million every year in Medicaid obligations, prison costs, and lost tax revenue. And our former demographer, who I talked about, Dr. Murdoch, forecasts that under current trends, the state's average household income will be about $6,500 lower, not adjusting for inflation, in 2030 than it was in 2000. But Guys, this is more than an economic catastrophe, though it's certainly that. And it's more than a personal tragedy. This is a law enforcement crisis. We're talking about a generation of people who'll struggle to find work that offers them real security or that contributes to the Texas economy in any meaningful way. And far too many of these people will evaluate the one equal opportunity, eternally available, deceptively lucrative career path that, as you all know, is always open. And at that point, in a very concrete way, this problem becomes your problem. So what should we do about it? I mean, that's always the question, isn't it? How do we capture this wave of demographic destiny and direct it away from those rocks and toward a brighter horizon? Look, there aren't any easy answers here. Honestly, I think, frankly, the promises of easy answers and something-for-nothing solutions are a big reason why so many of our problems today seem so huge and so difficult to solve. I'll just say it out loud. Generations of politicians from both sides of the aisle have pulled America away from the notions of hard choices and real sacrifice. Too many campaigns have been built around the empty promises of easy greatness. Well, greatness isn't easy, and it isn't a birthright. Even when greatness is inherited, greatness still must be built upon, maintained, and zealously defended in the face of every threat, from without and within. The path we must now follow isn't a guaranteed easy one. We know this. We know it if we pay attention, because it's the one set out by our parents and our grandparents. Their example, as with so many things, continues to guide us, or at least in my view, it should. Our parents and our grandparents, they were strong, holding this nation together through a Great Depression. They were brave, defending us against fascism, communism, and bigotry. And they were imaginative and far-sighted, imprinting their greatness onto America through innovation, investment, and hard work. And by the way, for me, that last legacy, what they did when no one was watching, when the drama of crisis and war finally ended, is the most fascinating part of what makes their generation the greatest. These people had saved the United States of America over and over and over again. They had earned the right to take a break, but they didn't. They gave back the rest period they'd earned, coming home instead to start families, build a nation, and build a nation that remains today without equal. Their contributions to medicine, science, transportation, literature, and every other field of human accomplishment are far too numerous for us to mention and count here today. But I find enormous inspiration in their willingness, over and over again, to strive and sacrifice in ways that made this nation great. To strive and sacrifice so that those of us who followed them had the potential, the opportunity, and the pathway to be great ourselves, if we are willing to follow it.